Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. How are you? It's great to see you, and welcome back to another vintage gadget test. Today, we are going to be testing a vintage French fry cutters. If you've missed my previous episodes of vintage finds and tests, you should definitely check out the playlist. I'll put a link down below. And if you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. So today we're going to be testing this. This is the Eco Miracle French fry cutter. I found this at the thrift store in its original box, albeit quite taped. But it's the original box. It has the instructions on it, but it's pretty self-explanatory in terms of how it works. Here it is, the Miracle French fry cutter. It doesn't have a date on it, but based on the packaging, maybe the 1950s or so. 75 years old, I would guess. I don't know. There are lots of versions of these, different kinds of permutations, different brands, so it's hard to exactly pinpoint the date. But if you are a vintage gadget, kitchen gadget expert, please let me know down in the comments. So this is Eco, and let's see what it looks like. This is number T5. So here it is. And it is in very good shape considering its age. None of the paint is worn off the handle. It probably didn't see all that much use. And it's this quite a contraption, isn't it? All metal. And here is the cutting portion. And you put the potato in that slot and then push this handle down, and then it forces the potato through and cutting all the potatoes. So there's a little arrow here, and you can push this forward. I'll do it towards me. It's pretty tight, like that. And then that allows you to pull the blade out. Oh my gosh. Did you see that 75-year-old crunkage that just came out of that? Wow. Well, I'm glad I figured out that feature because it will be cleaner. Certainly. Okay. Yeah, old potato crunkage. Definitely old potato crunkage in there. Oh my goodness. So there it is without the cutting blade. And here is the blade itself. So now that I've gotten this taken apart, let me give this a good thorough cleaning. I'll be right back. Alrighty, let's test out the Eco Miracle French fry cutter. So the opening only opens this far, so we've got to get a potato that, yeah, my potatoes are a little bit larger. Perhaps, you know, 75 years ago the potatoes were smaller, although in terms of diameter it'll fit. So I'm gonna have to take a little bit off the tip. Looks like both ends, so let's do that. Which is too bad, because then this is a bit of a waste, isn't it? I suppose you could slice this up and still fry it, but then, you know, I don't know. So I just estimated, and I believe that will fit, yes. So we slip the potato into the machine like that, and then we just push down on the handle, and we should get some potatoage coming right out of here. It says 25 at one time, but of course it's whatever hits the grills, right? So theoretically, if you had a giant potato, you could get 25 at a time, but all right, let's see how easily this goes. Ready? Oh, gotta use some force. I don't want this to go sliding. All right, here we go. Hello? I'm short, yes, but okay, here we go. Just gotta get it started. And then, oh my gosh. So far, not impressed. Started construction. Oh my gosh, that was a lot more effort than it needed to be. Did I put the blades in the right way? Let me check. Okay, did you see that? I got the potato to slice. Okay, but it took a lot more effort than I thought. I'm gonna double check that I put the blade in correctly, and we'll go from there. Alrighty, so we're gonna take our potatoes, we're gonna take our French fries, and place them in some cold water. These are russet potatoes, and putting them in cold water is supposed to remove some of the starch and make for a crispier potato. So this is a little bit annoying. These ones kind of jammed in there. It's not cut all the way. So they're a little bit stuck. So maybe if I did it with more force and they just ejected out, this wouldn't be such a problem. But these are perfect little square cylinders. They're not cylinders, they're square cylinders, rods, square rods. What do you call these? Some of them are not, of course, because the potato is round, but the ones in the middle are perfect. Oof. Maybe the trick is to have a tapered end entering the potato. Just cut one side so that it has more of a gradual slide in. I don't know, let's try that. I think I would have already finished slicing all my potatoes at this point, but there's a learning curve to all of these tools, isn't there? So it says one swift, one stroke. Oh, yes. I don't understand this. Okay. All right, so you just gotta have the initial oomph. And I'm not very tall, so maybe that's it. You have to just get really right on top of it and push down. So, oh my gosh, this is... It's not working. Oh my gosh. It's like shucking oysters or something for the first time. It shouldn't be this difficult. Look, the potato, and it is slicing. It's coming through, it's birthing it. But the potato is a little bit large, so it's scraping the top of it. See that? Once again, it doesn't cut it all the way. So maybe this is why it was at the thrift store, because it doesn't work all that well. All right, I'm slamming it so it cuts all the way through, and then we have to pull them out. But again, we have perfect fries. All right, let's try it again. Okay, so I did it really quickly and it went through, and now that it's in the middle of the potato, it's having trouble. Yeah, all right, so a little bit better. The third time around, it's pretty violent. So there, handful of potatoes. That is fast. I mean, once you get going. Oh, you know what? This reminds me a lot of the cutter that they have at In-N-Out Burger, and they're just slamming, but it's a vertical setup like this. Maybe that's how this needs to be set up, like this. Mounted, and then you can use gravity to really slam it. I think that's the way to go. Look, it has a hole here. I bet this needs to be mounted. Any former or current In-N-Out employee, please confirm this. But I believe the cutter, French fry cutter, because they make them fresh, is vertical, isn't it? 'Cause I remember I always see them like making the fries fresh, and they're just like, and it's pretty fast, but you got to use a good amount of force. This on top is not working for me. So if this was mounted like this, I think it would be a lot better. The amount of force required to get this to actually cut the potatoes is more than I really want to do, unless I'm feeding a lot of people. But even so, I think there would be a more manageable way to slice them than to do this. Again, if this was mounted so that it doesn't move, or vertically mounted, it would be better. But it certainly looks cool, and it is strong. Meanwhile, in my bowl of cold water, I have my potatoes, and the water is cloudy because that is potato starch. And potato starch will often settle to the bottom, and that's the potato starch that you see at the supermarket when you want to buy potato starch for certain recipes. That's the starch. So rust potatoes are very starchy, and they cook up really fluffy and light. As opposed to a waxy potato, like a red potato or a Yukon Gold even, they hold their shape a little bit more, they have a little bit firmer texture, they're not as fluffy, and those ones have less starch in them. So let's go ahead and dry off our French fries. We want these really dry because we're going to be deep frying them. I'm also going to be doing a technique that I've tried before. You can watch the video, I'll put a link down to it below. But I'm going to be revisiting cooking French fries in cold oil. Cold oil, meaning we're just going to put cold oil on these fries and bring them up to temperature and fry them for about 20 minutes. No need to double fry. A lot of French fry recipes say that you have to fry them to cook them, then you drain them, take them out, then you increase the temperature up to about 375, 400 degrees or so, and then you fry them again to get them crispy. So this technique says that you can just do it all at one go. with the idea of, because you're using cold oil, you're cooking them slowly and then they should brown on the outside. When I did them last time, I used a Yukon Gold and they were delicious, but they weren't as crispy. So I'm curious to see if by changing the type of potato, using a starchy potato like a russet makes any difference. So I'm going to use this cast iron enamel skillet kind of roaster to fry my potatoes. I like it because it's nice and shallow, but anything that's nice and heavy bottomed is good for deep fat frying. So add my potatoes. This is 4 medium to large russet potatoes. And I'm going to take out little scraps like this because they're going to cook a lot faster. So let's remove those. Now we are going to add cold oil. No heat, just cold oil right on top to cover the potatoes. I think we can use less oil if we fry this way too. Still quite a bit. And then some heat, and we're going to bring this up essentially to a boil. I'm going to get the sizzling, and then we're just going to cook it for about 18, 22 minutes or so until they're nice and golden and cooked. That's it. French fries, cold oil. I'm just pushing everything down so that it's submerged, and as this goes I might add a little bit more oil because we do want them to be submerged. So already it's been about 30 seconds and I can see bubbles forming, so this is coming up to an oil boil. Look, I'll show you. See right there? Little bubbles are beginning to appear. All right, my lovelies, I shall see you in about 20 minutes when these potatoes are finished frying. Alrighty, lovelies, 24 minutes later, while I was cleaning up my mess, these were frying away happily, beautifully. I picked out a few of the smaller pieces while these were frying up, but gorgeous. Turned off the heat and used my Spidey here to drain them onto a rack lined with, I also have it lined with paper towels. I mean, look at these. I haven't tasted these yet, but I don't think I'll do a different technique for frying. I mean, look at those French fries. Perfection. I mean, if you were to preheat your oil and to add your potatoes to hot oil, you still have to wait for it to heat up. With this method, you just heat it all up at the same time. And there's no spattering of oil. It's hard to imagine using any other method. All right, cover this up. That is very hot. Oh, I want to use this. Have you ever used this before? So this is pretty common in Japan, and I'm not sure what it is, if it's gelatin or what, but you add this to your used cooking oil and it solidifies it, and then you can dispose of it in the trash. I found this at my local Chinese supermarket, actually, in the housewares section, and you let your oil cool off. You can't add it yet. You have to let it cool off to 80 degrees C. Add this, and then this will solidify it into a solid puck. You can scoop it out and then throw it in the trash. Do not ever dispose of oil down your drain. It will clog up your drains, or even your neighbor's drains or the community's drain, create fatbergs. You've heard about fatbergs, right? They're incredible. They're a combination of fats and shampoos and conditioners and mostly baby wipes. They create these giant bergs of like solidified goo that clog up sewers and stuff. So yeah, also don't flush those baby wipes if you use them. In the meanwhile, we're gonna let the oil cool off, and while the French fries are still hot, we want to liberally salt them with salt. This kosher salt's really big. I probably should have smaller salt for this because it's not really sticking, but it's what I've got. Don't those look amazing? Boom. Alrighty, I'm not even gonna plate these up. I'm just gonna eat it right here. Look at that. Beautiful. Perfectly square from our cutter. Freshly fried French fry. The only way to eat a French fry, in my opinion, or the best way, is freshly fried. Okay, itadakimasu. It's true. I think a russet potato is the best potato to use for making French fries. So fluffy and creamy inside. and lightly crisp on the outside. Here. See how it's like buttery, soft inside? Oh, it's hot. And just lightly crisp on the edges. So stinking good. It doesn't need anything but just a bit of salt. Here's another one. See how it's crispy on the edges? Beautifully creamy white in the middle. Oh, gorgeous. Hear that crispness? Fantastic. Clap. So good. I love French fries so much. But it's surprising how easily you can mess up French fries, in my opinion. You know, they're undercooked, or they're soggy, or they just don't taste potatoey. But done right. So, in conclusion, lovelies, I would not recommend the Miracle French fry cutter. It was not a miracle maker for me. It was a lot of effort to slice potatoes as opposed to just using a knife, which I do whenever I make homemade French fries anyways. Granted, I'm making a small batch, just enough for my family of 4. So it's not much effort to slice. But if I was feeding a crowd, maybe I would need some kind of gadget. But not this gadget. There are others. They are better. But in terms of method of frying, 100% would do this again. Cold oil method. Very easy. The results are delicious, fantastic. And in terms of cleanup, I found that it didn't spatter as much. It did spatter towards the end as more water is released from the potatoes. But yeah, better. And a little safer too, because you're not adding a whole bunch of heavy things into a vat of hot oil. You're just starting off with cold oil, so that's safer too. Alrighty, my lovelies. Oh, so stinking good. Thanks as always for watching. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media. Like this video. Check out the vintage gadget playlist. And I shall see you in the next one. Alrighty. Toodaloo. Take care. Bye. I cannot stop eating these French fries. So good.